The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. The Raven is the most famous poem of Edgar Allan Poe. In his essay, The Philosophy of Composition, Poe uses this poem to illustrate his theory of poetic composition. The poem, The Raven, tells of a strange experience of a grief-stricken lover who longs to be united with his dead lady love. It was midnight, and the lover was reading some old books of forgotten stories. Suddenly he heard a tapping sound. He thought that it must be some traveler. It was a December night, and he was attempting to forget his dead lover, Lenore. The knocking filled him with fear, and he consoled himself, repeating, "It must be some late visitor trying to enter into his chamber." The narrated lover got up and went to the door. Asking excuse for delay, he opened the door but found none. He looked through the darkness, filled with wonder, fear, and doubt. It was absolute silence everywhere, and the lover whispered the word Lenore and heard it echoed. When he returned to his chamber again, he heard the knocking and then guessed it to be the sound of the wind. When he opened the window, a raven entered in and straightway sat over the statue of Pallas above his chamber door. The lover asked the bird to tell the name by which it was called on the kingdom of Pluto. It replied, "Nevermore," and the lover was surprised. When he murmured that it would fly away the next day, it said, "Nevermore." The lover was shocked at its apt reply. He thought that it must be the only word the bird had learned from its sad master. Then the lover turned his wheeled cushioned chair towards the bird and tried to find out the meaning of the bird's utterance, "Nevermore." Leaning his head back at ease, he felt sad for his Lenore, who would never come and press the velvet violet lining of the chair. He thought that the air is perfumed by some unseen angel whose footfalls he heard. He guessed that God had sent the angel to comfort him, but the raven said, "Nevermore." The lover called the bird prophet and thing of evil, and asked if there was balm in Gilead for him. The raven replied, "Nevermore." Then he asked whether he would clasp the hand of his beloved Lenore in Eden, and got the reply, "Nevermore." Anger overtook him, and he shouted at the bird to move from that place. It replied, "Nevermore," and its shadow was seen on the floor, from which the lover could not lift his soul. The poem is remarkable both in its form and in the way the poet is able to build the human speaking voice into the poem. Poe's love of beauty, his deep and plaintive poetry, carefully wrought as a crystal jewel, and his pure style make the poem an exceptionally admirable one surrounded by mystery.